is Marie from Underground Crafter, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the ribbon stitch dishcloth, or actually just the ribbon stitch. You can use it for other projects as well. For this particular pattern I'm using Lion Brand 24/7 cotton in two colors. Color A is this one, which is ecru, or ecru, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, and color B is this one, which is rose. I'm also using my Denise interchangeable needles in size 7. Thank you to Lion Brand and Denise for providing these products for me to use. Okay, so let me show you how to do this project. So first you're going to start with color A, and you're going to cast on a multiple of 4 plus 5 stitches. So I use 37 for a 7 or for an 8-inch dishcloth, and I use 17 for this little swatch here. So any multiple of 4 stitches plus 5 to start, and that's going to be in color A. And now we're going to do 4 border rows. So border row 1 with color A is going to be knit every stitch. So to remind you how to knit, you're going to insert your needle from the front to the back. You're going to wrap your yarn counterclockwise. You're going to pull that yarn through to the front. When you see it showing up on your needle, you're going to push off the old loop, and that's a knit. So we're going to knit across this row, and this is going to be row 1. For those of you that have been following along with the Knitted Kitchen, you may notice that I'm using a little bit of a different border in this pattern, and that's because this border actually works better with this particular stitch, and I didn't want to get stuck on using the same border just because the other dishcloths use it. So the Knitted Kitchen blog hop, by the way, we have 48 patterns, or we will by the end of the year, and it's me and several other designers, so you can find the link to where you can get all 48 patterns in the notes for today's video. Alright, so once you've knit across the first row, then what we're going to do is we're going to continue our borders with a row of purls. And if you don't remember the purl, you're going to leave the yarn in front. You're going to insert your needle in the front as well so that you can see it. Going to wrap the yarn counterclockwise, and this time you're going to pull that loop of yarn through to the back, and again, when your short's on the needle, you can push off the old loop. So for this border row 2, we're going to purl across, and that's pretty straightforward as well. And then what we're going to do is we're going to repeat border row 1 and 2. So there'll be 1 row of knitting and 1 row of purling, both using color A, and those will be the first 4 border rows. So I'm just going to finish the second row with you, and then I'm going to knit and purl. I'm going to knit 1 row for border row 3, I'm going to purl 1 row for border row 4, and then I'm going to meet you back here for the start of the pattern. Okay, so again, after this row, you're going to do 1 row all knits and 1 row all purls, still using color A. Okay, so now we finished our 4 border rows. So we have 1 row of knit, 1 row of purl, 1 row of knit, 1 row of purl again in color A. We're going to grab our color B, and we're going to start the ribbon stitch pattern. Now the way this pattern works, we're not going to be fastening off every time we change colors. We're going to be carrying the color up the side, and what that basically means is we don't have to weave in as many ends, which is nice. So we're going to leave some slack on color B. You don't want to just attach it very close. And then we're going to insert our needle as though we're going to knit, and we're going to put that color B on the needle, and that will be our first knit stitch with color B. It's going to be super loose, but don't worry about it for the moment. So that was knit 1, and now we're going to start our pattern repeat, which we're going to continue across to the last 4 stitches of this row. So that was knit 1, now the pattern repeat is knit 3. So 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to slip 1 purlwise with yarn in back. What does that mean? Well, our yarn's already in the back, so that's fine. We're going to put our needle as though we're going to purl, which is what it means to be purlwise. And then we're going to slip this stitch over to the other needle. Nice and easy. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to continue that repeat, which is going to be knit 3, slip 1 purlwise. So knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and then slip 1 purlwise with the yarn and back, and then knit 3 again. 1, 2, 3, and then slip 1 purlwise with the yarn and back, and now we're at our last 4 stitches and we're just going to knit in those. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you can see already happening is that we're getting the look of color work in that row. So we have 2 different colors in this row, but we're actually using 1 color at a time, which is the magic of slip stitches. So now we're going to go to the ribbon stitch pattern row 2. So with color B again, we're going to knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front. So what does that mean? We're going to bring the yarn to the front of our piece, so it's going to be facing us. And we're still going to slip 1 purlwise, so we're still going to put our needle in as though we're going to purl, and then we're going to slide that loop over. But since we're knitting, we have to return the yarn to the back now, and then we're going to knit 3. And this is the pattern repeat. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that was the pattern repeat. We're going to do it again. We're going to slip 1 purlwise with the yarn in front. So we're going to bring the yarn to the front. We're going to insert our needle purlwise. We're going to slip it to the other needle. Then we're going to put our yarn back to the back, and then we're going to knit 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to continue repeating it until the last stitch. So slip 1 purlwise with yarn in front. Return the yarn to the back and knit 3. 1, 2, 3, and here we are at our last stitch, and you can see it's super loose because that's where we change color, so don't worry about that too much. It'll be okay in the long haul. And we're going to knit 1 there. If you're worried about that last loop, you can tighten it a bit. Okay, now we're going to switch back to color A. So what we're going to do, we're going to drop this color B, we're going to find our color A. It should be on the same side. If it's not, something is wrong. You're going to have to probably pull something out. It should be on the same side. And we're going to pull it up to the back, but you don't want to make it too tight, right? Because you're not trying to buckle this. You want it to be a little bit loose so that the stitches are not having any problems. Okay, so again, with color A, what we're going to do is just like the border. We're going to knit across a row, and then we're going to purl across a row. So again, you're going to pick up the color A, and on the first stitch in particular, try not to work it too tightly. And then after that, it should be pretty natural and straightforward. So you're going to knit across the row, and then I'll meet you at the end of this row. Okay, so we've knit across this whole row, and so we're back in the 1 color type of stitch, and now we're going to turn and we're going to purl across the whole row. So again, we're going to keep, to remind you of the purl, we're going to bring the yarn to the front, we're going to insert the needle across to the front, we're going to wrap the yarn counterclockwise, and bring the loop to the back. And so purl across this row, and then I'll meet you there for the next row. Okay, so we finished our purl row, and now we're going to switch to pattern row 5, and we're going to change back to color color B again, and color B again should be waiting for us on this side, and so we're just going to drop the first yarn and pick up the second yarn. And now for row 5 with color B, we're going to knit 1. Okay, now that we've knit 1, we're going to start our pattern repeat for this row, and it's going to be knit 1, slip 1 purlwise with yarn and back, knit 2. So we're going to knit 1. We have our yarn and back already, so we're going to insert our needle purlwise and slip 1, and then we're going to knit 2. 1, 2, and we're going to repeat that all the way across the row. So knit 1, slip 1, knit 2, knit 1, slip 1 purlwise with our yarn and back, knit 2, and then it's going to be knit 1, slip 1 purlwise with yarn and back, and knit 2. And I'm just going to put down this piece for a minute so you can see what's going on. You can see that these little boxes are kind of staggering, right? Because we're shifting the position of the slip stitch. Okay, so now we're on to pattern row 6, and we're still using color B, and we're going to start by knitting 2. We're actually starting right with the pattern repeat. So we're going to knit 2, 1, 2. We're going to slip 1 purlwise with the yarn in front, so let's bring the yarn to the front, slip it purlwise, and then bring the yarn to the back, and then knit 1. And we're going to repeat that across. So it's going to be, oops, we didn't have to move the yarn yet. Knit 2, bring the yarn to the front, slip 1 purlwise, bring the yarn to the back, knit 1, knit 2, bring the yarn to the front, slip 1 purlwise, bring the yarn to the back, knit 1, and then knit 2, bring the yarn to the front, slip 1 purlwise, bring the yarn to the back, and then knit 1. And we're repeating that all the way to our last stitch, and then we're going to knit 1. Okay, now for row 7 and 8 of the pattern, we're switching back to color A, and we're going to just repeat the same 2 rows we've been doing with color A the whole time. So we're going to do 1 row of knit, and that's going to be row 7, and then row 8 is going to be 1 row of purl. So let's do that, and then we'll meet back here. Okay, so we finished pattern rows 1 through 8, and basically what you can see is going on is we're creating these almost like little ribbons that are running through, because we have these garter stitch color B 2 rows kind of running underneath our stockinette stitch color A rows. And so the way I finished this dishcloth is I kept repeating pattern rows 1 through 8 until it was about 7.5 inches long, and I ended after either row 2 or row 6, so after either one of the color B rows. Then you're going to fasten off color B, and you're going to repeat the border 4 rows, which are really the same rows that we've been doing with color A, which is 1 row of knit, 1 row of purl, 1 row of knit, 1 row of purl, and then you're going to bind off in the pattern for the border row 1. And so hopefully that has explained how to do the ribbon stitch. If you have any questions, let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel so you can get the next one. Have a wonderful day.